cash and investments closing package. The one I've gotten pulled up right now is the sample package, so it shows some items filled out. But this is all going to get kicked off. You guys are going to get in the mail an email from our office. Hopefully you can see this email screen right here, but this is D300, so Department of Administration, and it's going to include the balances that are held in cash, or I believe petty cash, and maybe a few other items as well. And this is going to be the basis for your agency cash reporting package. So this is D300, and I'll just show you what it looks like. So this one is empty, which is great, but it would have balances here that would be what we were expecting your cash to be. Now, in theory, your cash that you have on the general ledger should be the carrying value of cash. So it should be reconciled. It should agree to your reconcile statements. It should include all your outstanding items. And so what the general ledger should represent is the carrying value of your cash. So let's go to this petty cash statement. So you're just going to go through and fill out the questions. They're pretty self-explanatory. If you want me to stop and cover any one of these, you're more than welcome to. But let's go back to the cash that was sent out, the cash confirmation that was sent out. So let's just say this is a cash confirmation you get and it's blank, but you have petty cash at your desk that you have not recorded to the GL. We have no idea that cash exists. So to us, the general ledger is saying there's no cash. So what you would do is you'd say, no, the report provided by the Comptroller General's office does not properly reflect my petty cash because the report says 0, but in fact we have $500. So you would go through and mark down all your different petty cash accounts. You would explain the difference, and you would give me what the reconciled balance is. Not necessarily what the bank balance is, but what the reconciled balance is. So it would be $500. Now, again, to stress, if everything is going right, the general ledger should reflect $500. But of course, there are always circumstances where maybe something didn't get notice in time or whatever. This closing package is capturing that, but you're going to either affirm or not affirm, does the general ledger agree to the cash we have on hand? So this is the petty cash explanation. Once you get finished with that, you're going to move forward. Oh, let me back up 1 second here. How this gets populated is on your signature page. You're going to go here and select your agency. This is the very first thing you're going to do is select your agency, and that will populate your cash throughout here. So once I select my E120, it will fill in all the known bank accounts that the CGO and the Treasurer's Office knows of. Now, in my presentation that I gave at the spring conference, I mentioned that there could be bank accounts out there that the Treasurer's Office does not know of. If you have a bank account that the Treasurer's Office is not aware of, you are in violation of state law. You need to immediately, if you have a bank account and it's not listed on this sheet, you need to immediately reach out to the Treasurer's Office and let them know, because the Treasurer's Office needs to be aware of all bank accounts that have been opened under the purview of the state of South Carolina. So right now, this account for the Comptroller General's office is the bank account that's on file. And you'll just go through and answer these questions. Is it recorded in SKIS? No. So if it was recorded in SKIS, you would put what the SKIS GL number is and what the fund. If the account has been closed, you'll indicate that as well. And this section right here seems to present some problem with agencies, and it's totally understandable why it could present some issues. But in theory, you could have 3 different numbers on columns J, K, and L. The balance per skis should be the same balance as your reconciled balance. It might not be. You might not have had a chance to adjust the skis balance to equal the reconciled balance. But just so you guys are aware, what gets recorded to the ACFR is the reconciled balance, because the ACFR carries the reconciled balance. It wants to know what all the outstanding checks are, all the outstanding disbursements, and that may not have been recorded in skis. It should, but it may not have. So this is the balance we are adjusting to. Your bank statement balance, in all likelihood, unless it's a pretty simple account, is going to be different than your reconciled balance, because the bank statement balance will have the items that have actually made it to the bank, whereas the reconciled balance will have any outstanding items in it. This will let you know, depending on how you fill it out, if you are required in your closing package to submit a bank statement. Because also on the ACFR, we report in the note disclosures what the cash in a bank is. So we will report this balance in our note disclosure, and we will report this balance on the face of the financial statement. If your balance is not in skis, you'll need to explain why it's not in skis. I can tell you that with all the hullabaloo that has happened around cash, one of the recommendations from AlixPartners is there's some inconsistency with how things are being recorded in skis. So I would make sure you guys are doing your very best to get items recorded in skis. You don't necessarily have to record the detail, but get your reconciled balance and your balance per skis in order so that they're agreeing. I don't know from an audit perspective if the auditors are going to be looking at that, but it was one of the recommendations that came out of the forensic accounting process that we had done last year, was about how there is some inconsistency with how cash is or is not being recorded on skis. This account, this tab right here, is all the cash that you have that has an actual bank statement attached to it. You could have petty cash that you are also depositing in a bank. That probably isn't quite what petty cash is. Petty cash, in theory, should be a box that's kept on your desk, but there are some agencies that deposit their petty cash in a bank statement. So you could have some items here that are also listed on petty cash. So this tab 3.01.2, cash bank new. If there are any bank accounts that we are not aware of that were not listed here on 3.1 to cash bank, you're going to list them here. And you also need to make sure you reach out to the treasurer's office and let them know as well that you have a bank account that they are not aware of. And you will go through the similar exercise in 3.1.2 and just give us information so we know how to record it to the ACFR. So just so y'all understand how it makes it to the ACFR again, I know I said this before, but just really make sure we're being clear. The reconciled balance will go on the, that will be on the statement of net position, or our trial balance, our balance sheet. And then in the note disclosure, we have to disclose how much cash is in a bank. And so that this section will go into our note disclosure. If you are one of the very few agencies that hold investments outside of the treasurer's office, so these are not investments held by the treasurer's office, these are investments that are held by your entity. A lot of times they are investments that have been, I guess, given to an agency. Not sure why an agency would hold investments, no judgment in that, but if they are holding investments, they would disclose it here. There is some new categories in here that were not being asked before. You will have to designate what the credit risk rating is, the fair value rating is, the maturity level, and the custodial credit risk. And you'll just drop down, you'll just have to, you should get this on your investment statement, so you just have to put it in here. Fair value level is determined on how the investment is valued. If it's basically a level of transparency. If it's a level 1, that means it's traded on the stock exchange. It's a very clear example of the pricing structure. There's no question as to how it's being priced. It's very clear. Level 2 is just a little bit more nuanced. You have to have maybe your investment broker figure out what the price is and give it to you. It's not actively traded on the stock market. Level 3 is the most difficult of all to ascertain the value of. This would be like a piece of land, and this is subject to change. So you might have one person come in and say, this asset, this investment is worth $1 million. And you might have another appraiser say, well, I think it's worth 1.1. So it's about the levels is about the risk associated with the value. So level 1 is the most solid value that you can get. And level 3 is the least solid value you can get. There could be some change in that value.
Hey, Catherine, we had a request for you to make your screen a little bigger if possible.
Yeah, did it get bigger?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah, sure. So once you finish the investments, if you do, there's very few agencies that do fill out the investments. If you are one of the agencies that fill out the investments and you have any questions about the credit risk rating, fair value level, maturity, custodial credit risk, please give me a call. I can walk you through it. Then you're going to get to the reviewer's checklist, and you'll just go down through the list and fill everything out. The only thing that can be somewhat tricky is make sure you save your package correctly, meaning you want your package name. So we are E120. You want to save it where E120 is the very first section of the name. So when it comes in, we know this is E120's 3.1 cash and investments file. Probably this started about 4 or 5 years ago. So y'all all should be pretty well familiar with how to save it, but it just previously to that, we would get 90 packages and they would all say 3.01 cash and investments, and we wouldn't know necessarily whose it belonged to. So this is just it saves a lot of time to make sure, yes, we've gotten this package and we know exactly who this package belongs to. Once you've finished your reviewer's checklist, then you'll go to your signature page and you will just mark here, was this package required based off your master reporting package, or do you need to do 3.1, which is petty cash, and do you need to do 3.2, which is the cash and bank? Then you have to answer, were there any accounts missing from 3.2? You'll have to add those accounts. The preparer, you'll fill this out. We have gotten pretty clear instructions from our Comptroller General, Brian Gaines, that whoever is preparing this package should be someone that is familiar with the process. So we had one agency inquire if they could have an intern fill out this closing package. No, an intern should not be filling out this closing package. An intern can do some research and supply it to you, but the preparer should not be an intern. It should be someone who does know this process and is involved in this process. The reviewer needs to be somebody that is competent to review this subject. So I know these closing packages are a pain in the butt, but don't necessarily give it to the lowest person on the totem pole. Give it to the person that knows this process. Definitely do not give it to an intern. So you will finish this, the reviewer will sign it, and then you will submit it to the ACFR inbox, and we will mark you off as closed. This package is not in Workiva. This package is still in Excel. Yes. Oh, Amanda, I see you just asked that question. Yeah, you will be submitting this package through Excel. You can find this closing package. So what you will get is an email is you will get this email that shows the amount of petty cash that we know that you have on hand. That will be the only communication you will get from us. The rest, you will need to go to our website. You'll need to go to our website. And if you want to, you can go, this is also online in our training. This will show you where you can pick it up, but you're going to go to your gap reporting. You're going to go to agencies that submit year-end reporting packages, and you will go and pick up your reporting package here. And here is where it will tell you, just for other reporting packages, whether or not the package is Workiva or if it is Excel. So if you do your grants, that's also going to be Excel. But if you're doing your unearned revenue, that's going to be in Workiva. So here is where you'd pick up your cash and investment reporting form. You just double click on this and it'll download to you. If you want me to send it to you, that's fine too, but it is online. And then if you go here under training materials, we had somebody in our division go through and reorganize this training materials. Here is the cash and investments video tutorial that is online. This will essentially do the same thing that I'm doing now and walk you through this process. And then here are the sample reporting packages. So if you wanted to see a sample, you could download this as well. But that is basically it. Are there any questions? Okay, so I'm going to assume there are no questions that are wanting to be asked in this environment. As always, y'all are more than welcome to give me a call or email me, however you want to contact me. If you have some individual questions that you might not necessarily want to ask in a group setting, I am always happy to help you. This closing package is due July 18th. So in theory, it would be much better for your agency to ask me any questions, not necessarily on July 18th, because we're going to be getting in a lot of closing packages that day. So I might not be able to give you the answer that you deserve if I get a question on July 18th. So preferably, we would like to have questions done before the 18th. If there are no other questions, I'll give just a second more for any other questions, but if there are no other questions, we can go ahead and end this session. So I'll just give it a few more seconds here. Okay, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I hope one day I get to meet y'all. If y'all see me at any of the spring conferences, please come up and introduce yourself. I love meeting people or whatever, but have a good day.